50 years ago, Lynn Westcott, model railroad pioneer, predicted that the future model railroad would be in a large building with no center supports and have wireless control. That prediction has come true here in Greely, Colorado.
A short distance from downtown Greely, Colorado, visitors will find a simple metal building. While the exterior may offer little as to what's inside, it is the interior that is truly spectacular. This is the Greely Freight Station Museum. Founder David Trussell had been an HO modeler for over 50 years and started collecting trains in the 1980s. Upon retirement, he saw a perfect place for a large public layout, located right between the former Colorado and Southern and Union Pacific right-of-ways.
Well, we were very fortunate. The land was available. It was ours. We picked it up at a song, and we got in when steel prices were low. So everything fell into place at the right time.
The result is a 9,500 square foot building housing over 1,100 railroad artifacts and a 5,500 square foot HO gauge model railroad. In the beginning, the building only had one occupant.
The building was an empty shell of a building. In 2003, the fall of 2003, we moved the caboose in, and it was the first, really the first artifact, the first anything that we put in. The caboose is the last operating wood caboose on the Colorado and Southern Railroad, and it was in a backyard. It was about to fall apart, so we rescued it as quick as we could, got it over here, did our own restoration of it.
David wanted to make a model railroad with a purpose. Enter a 50-year-old book by modeling pioneer Lynn Westcott.
Lynn put out a book called 101 Model Railroads. The guy could see things in the future that no one else could, seemed like, and he turned out some very, very fine stuff. And there was a page on the back of it that said, if I had $1 million, what would I do? And he had built a layout. And I looked at that for some time and said, you know, I think we can beat that.
The result is the Oregon, California, and Eastern Railway, a prototype logging line that ran from Lakeview, Oregon to Klamath Falls.
I followed the OC&E because I lived in Lakeview, Oregon for a period of time, and the OC&E was jointly owned by the Great Northern and the Southern Pacific. And that was intriguing because in model railroading, usually you have to rely on just one type of railroad for your line if you want to be accurate. In the case of the OC&E, Weyerhaeuser got involved, so at one point in time you could see 3 different engines, 3 different railroads on the same line within a very short span of time. So we use that as a jumping off place.
The line rises just over 8 feet above the floor. With over 14 major bridges and several tunnels, there is plenty for visitors to see.
Chiloquin's a staging yards, and the westbound trains leave Chiloquin, go to Klamath Falls, head up what we call affectionately the loops, into Sprague River, then up over the high bridge and to the summit at Quartz Mountain, then off the summit at Quartz Mountain, down around the hill to Gearhart Mountain, then to Bly, and then down to Dog Lake, where Thomas Augustus Dobbins, the owner of the railroad, has his private home, and then from Dog Lake down into Lakeview. Gearhart Mountain is 1,054 scale feet high, sheer cliff, all rock formations. When we built it, we have over 1/2 ton of hydrocal plaster in it. The other one is the high bridge that spans the valley at the other end of the railroad, and it's the most photogenic. My favorite of all is the Shiwaikan River. Very seldom in modeling do you get to show both sides, both banks of a river for any length of distance. The snow shed up off of Quartz Mountain has 1,700 individual pieces of wood in it on the side of a sheer cliff. They have some slide problems up there, so they had to build a snow shed. It's all wood. That's been another favorite spot of photographers.
The railroad was designed to operate in multiple modes.
The OC&E is very unique in that it starts in layers of operations. The bottom layer is docent operation, which the computer will fire up automatically 4 trains and send the 4 trains through the entire railroad. The second layer up is what we call play mode, and that's where several people, 3 or 4, can bring trains in or run trains on the layout individually with handheld throttles and throw their own switches as they go along. The next layer up is an operational situation where we have a dispatcher who will dispatch the railroad, and all the engineers will have radio sets and will follow his instructions as to where to go and how to park the train, that type of thing.
David has had a lot of help in bringing this operation to the public.
One of the ways of doing it is to put a cadre of volunteers around you who are really, really good at what they do and are inspired to make this the best that they know is around. And it's been hugely successful. We exceeded our expectations on every single project. I can't sit here and tell you that there is a single place out there that I'm disappointed in after it was finished. It either met or exceeded expectations, and as a result, it's a world-class product. It really is.
The layout boasts over 300 buildings, over 16,000 fir trees, 8,000 deciduous trees, 4,000 aspen. Visitors will see detailed scenes, including a special section that can be changed for a constant refreshing of the look.
We have some fellows in their overhauls that are changing out a tire on a piece of heavy equipment. We have a bunch of fellows who are putting in a new sidewalk at a service station in Lakeview. We have a fireworks building that somebody pulled a no-no somewhere and it exploded and caught on fire. And we have a very unique forest fire that's up on the side of a hill. We researched that quite extensively to see what hillsides look like after a fire went through. And that's all user-friendly as far as a visitor being able to push a button and start a fire. We have a city block that raises up out of the layout, rotates, and sets back down into layout in the same place. So we can literally have 4 different scenes from the same position. So when our visitors come in on one Saturday, they'll see one scene in Klamath Falls. When they come in the next Saturday, there might be an entirely different scene.
Initially, David thought that visitor interest would be local, but that's not how it turned out.
In reality, only about 12 to 15% are local. All the rest are from out of the area. Last week, for example, we had visitors from Germany, China, Canada, and England, and about 20 states.
As the name indicates, there is more here than the layout. David now has a showcase for his collection of railroad artifacts.
We have 600 artifacts on display out of a collection of 1,100, and we rotate them in and out so that things change when visitors come from month to month. And we've been very blessed with having several one-of-a-kind type of artifacts. So railroad aficionados, railroad buffs will find something that they enjoy.
If your plans call for you to be in Colorado, be sure to stop and see the Greely Freight Station Museum, a tribute to a man who wanted to bring model railroading back to the community.